So let's start with the UFL Week 9 Power Rankings as I wrote them following Sunday's games, okay? Number 8, all the way up to number 1. Number 8, Memphis Showboats. Reeling took a bad loss against DC Defenders. John DeFilippo's squad really has tried to find its quarterback. They've started 3 different quarterbacks this year. Josh Love got the start. Didn't go that well, but Josh Love, when he's played for John DeFilippo, has looked pretty good. Carnell Lake's defense, still at 6s and 7s, man. And I'm not talking about 3-6 Mafia album over here. They look bad. Carnell Lake's got to get that figured out, or John DeFilippo's got to be figuring out what the defense got to be for 2025, because that's where your head's got to be going into this final week of regular season play. Number 7 on the list, the Houston Roughnecks, CJ Johnson squad. Again, a team that I think is better than their record, but not that much better than their record. A lot of talent on that football team, a lot of talent that they drafted, that they brought in. It hasn't been able to find its rhythm. And Mark Thompson hasn't been the guy that he showed himself to be last year when he was the USFL Offensive Player of the Year. Justin Hall, though, finally got into the end zone, got in the end zone twice. But outside of that, really hard to find positive things to say about the offense. Even as the defense has played admirably at times, they just haven't been playing good enough to win football games. A lot of that is just procedural. Like, they're making some mistakes that really are self-inflicted. And if they were able to clean those up, I think we're talking about a team that at the very least would be challenging for a playoff spot right now, as opposed to just be looking forward to 2025. Number 6, the DC Defenders. When Jordan Ta'amu has been good, the Defenders have been great. He was good against the Memphis Showboats. This is a team, though, that was 9-1 last year and hasn't looked anything like that. They're fighting to get to 500 for the end of the season. But I think it's fair to say that the Defenders should have been vying for a playoff spot this season, and they have not met that bar. So Reggie Barlow's got to get that figured out going into the offseason. Maybe you get Jordan Ta'amu back, but I think Jalen McClendon has shown enough to compete with DeAndre Francois for the starting job if Jordan Ta'amu makes an NFL roster, 53-man roster, like, say, Alex Magoo did last year with the Green Bay Packers this year. Number 5 on the list, the Arlington Renegades. The Renegades came up with a massive win against the St. Louis Battlehawks, which really started what was a remarkable Saturday, right? So finally, Bob Stoops' Renegades started playing like the team I thought they were going to be when we opened the season, playing to their talent, right? Luis Perez is out there dealing. They have some outstanding wideouts. Sal Cannella, one of the best pass catchers in this league. Deontay Burnett coming on his way, right? I think when Jay Hayes' defense figures itself out, they're good. They just haven't figured themselves out quick enough. But they're higher in the power rankings because they came up with an outstanding win against what I think is one of the 2 best teams, or 3 best teams in the UFL. Okay. Now, Final 4, these are all playoff teams, right? Start with the St. Louis Battlehawks, who look like a different team when A.J. McCarron is not starting quarterbacks. Not that Manny Wilkins is bad. It's that Manny Wilkins is different. That said, when it came down to crunch time, you need to go get some plays made. There was reason to believe Manny Wilkins was the backup, right? And the reason that A.J. McCarron was the starter. You understand what it's like for that dude to be the facilitator. Now, Manny Wilkins has more wiggle than A.J., and he's going to be out there running around more than A.J., but A.J. is going to take better advantage, I think, of guys like Hakeem Butler, guys like Ja'Cour Pearson. Say nothing of Julian Sayers, who's been outstanding for them in the backfield, along with Wayne Gallman when he has been ready to play. I think that the Battlehawks in this spot is not something we expected going into the final season or final week of the season, because we thought the Battlehawks would show up home field advantage, which would be huge because the UFL championship is going to be played at their house. Now, that is up for grabs going into this week, as they're going to play the number 2 team on this list. But we're going to talk about number 3 before I get to number 2. Michigan Panthers are number 3. Michigan Panthers are in a spot that I don't envy. I think it kind of sucks for them. The reason I think it kind of sucks for them is because after they got their win, they're going to be playing the Birmingham Stallions this week. Now, they would normally be playing for an opportunity to host the USFL Conference Championship. But because of a scheduling snafu at Ford Field, they're going to have to play the USFL Championship at Protective Stadium, even if they are the 1 seed. Kind of sucks. It's kind of not what you draw up, right? But that's what it means to be playing right now in this league. And I think, if nothing else, They get to play with a chip on their shoulder, and rightfully so. Now, they played Danny Etling to start the first half in their win against Houston, but they got Bryce Perkins on the field. Now, Mike Nolan has said that Danny Etling is their starting quarterback, and I believe him. But Bryce Perkins has looked like the better quarterback to me. And I would not be surprised to find out if it ain't going Danny Etling's way, Marcel Belfield might actually say, hey, go get me the guy from Virginia so we can go win this game. And maybe you hold that for next week, because there's going to be a lot of gamesmanship this week between these top 4 teams because they got to see each other, right? The Michigan Panthers have to play the Birmingham Stallions this week and next week in the USFL Championship. That's going to be a lot of fun. Now, number 2, I mentioned San Antonio Brahmas as the team that really has the most to play for right now, because the St. Louis Battlehawks took an unexpected loss, right? Let's call it the biggest upset of the year when the Renegades beat them. Now, San Antonio Brahmas will go to the Dome at America Center with an opportunity to host the XFL Conference Championship game if they get the win. So knowing that you're going to play the Battlehawks twice in a row, Wade Phillips is going to come up there going, hey guys, everything we can do to sell out to win this game, because we don't want to play here again the following week, because that is the best home field advantage in spring football. They routinely get more than 30,000 people to show up for their games at the Dome. And you just don't want to be there in a playoffs atmosphere where you got even more people showing up because they're interested. They want to see a championship won in their town. You want to take that from them if you're San Antonio. And you know you're a good football team in San Antonio, because San Antonio Brahmas became the first team to beat the Birmingham Stallions in 379 days. Okay? They did that last week in San Antonio. So you want to get the Battlehawks in San Antonio, because if you beat the Birmingham Stallions, hold them to 9 damn points, you can sure as hell do that to the St. Louis Battlehawks, or at least that's what you would think. Now, whether or not Cody Latimer is going to be healthy for this game is also at issue. He needed to be carted off the field in their win against Birmingham. You also got Chase Garbers back into the fold, right? After Quentin Dormady got you through the middle of the season, Chase Garbers came off the bench in this one, and they look like a better football team. They also took advantage of their run game in a way that I haven't seen them do in some time. They rushed for over 200 yards against John Chavis's Birmingham Stallions defense, and that was one reason why the offense had such a hard time getting going for the Stallions. Again, this is a team that had scored at least 20 points in every game that they have played this season, scored just 9 against the Brahmas, right? That's remarkable. That is the UFL's best defense beating the best offense, what I think is the best offense in all of the UFL. Then number 1, I got the Birmingham Stallions, who again took their first loss in over a calendar year before the Brahmas beat them on Saturday. The Stallions had not lost a game since May 13th of the 2023 season to the Houston Gamblers, now the Roughnecks, which means that the only teams that have been able to beat Birmingham in the last year have both been from Texas. Michigan ain't from Texas, right? And if you are the Stallions, you might want to see the Brahmas once again. You might want to see the Battlehawks once again. You beat the Battlehawks at Protective, right, with A.J. McCarron starting the game. And you want to have another shot at the Brahmas, because I don't think the Brahmas absolutely dismantled the Stallions by any stretch. Matter of fact, Adrian Martinez came back on the field with an opportunity to go win it, and then did the first thing that I associate with Adrian Martinez from Nebraska all year. He threw an interception in the end zone with the game on the line, okay? He's thrown just 3 interceptions all year long, but that was a big one because they had opportunity to go down the field, get 6, and maybe tie. Because remember, in the UFL, you can go for 3 and make a 1-score game is always going to be 9 points, right? 9 points or fewer, you're in this thing. And we got the 4th and 12 for the alternative for the outside kick, so I think it's going to be cool. So we all know that the Birmingham Stallions and the Michigan Panthers are going to play each other back-to-back. San Antonio Brahmas, St. Louis Battlehawks are going to play each other back-to-back. And I'm curious to see what we see, if anything, that they show in these games, specifically in the Birmingham Stallions Michigan Panthers game, because that game's going to be played at Protective for the playoffs anyway. Whereas San Antonio Brahmas is going to be selling out to try to beat the St. Louis Battlehawks and try to get themselves that home field advantage going into the XFL championship game. Either way, we're all going to be around here talking about Father's Day and watching the UFL's inaugural championship at the Dome at America Center in St. Louis, where could see 50,000 people showing up, especially if the Battlehawks are in that game. Okay. If you like what you've seen consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.